Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope you've all had a really stellar week since I saw you last. This conversation today is going to get a little deep, but I want you to hang in there with me. Hello, I am Dee. Welcome back to another episode of Dee's Mindful Monday Musings. Today, I wanted to talk to you about what you feel versus what you see. Okay. And I've been given this message so much, and I feel like it's one of the biggest stretches that we're asked to do as humans. If you follow the law of attraction or manifestation techniques or information that's out there, you've probably heard a lot. You need to feel it. You need to live from the end. You need to see what you desire right in front of you as if it's already happening in this moment. And that is, to me, one of the biggest stretches that we are asked to do as humans, right? Like our soul is like all in all the time, all into all of the good stuff, right? All of the juicy, energetic frequency, quantum leaping, quantum everything, our soul is all in all the time. It's our human selves that's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Those are some crazy ideas. What does that mean? How do we do it? All of the things, right? However, it's been really showing up a lot in my personal life here recently. So I wanted to get on here and have this conversation with you. And I know it's deep. And when I first started getting into this stuff, I thought it was crazy too. I was like, it's absolutely insane. How do you do that when you see in front of you shit, I have, $5 left in my bank account and I have this bill due and I don't get paid until 4 days from now. And how am I going to do it? I need to feed my kids. I need gas in the car so I can go to work, and all of the things that encompass or encapsulate inside of this thing we call human life, right? So we look at those things and they're so strong. However, they're not as strong as what's underneath. And that's the part that we need to allow ourselves, or we get to allow ourselves to stop, take a deep breath, breathe, and look at and delve into and develop this beautiful curiosity where we explore those things endlessly and see what all the messages are there and all the beauty and all the magic. It's really, really incredible. Now, I would like to say that all sounds really fanciful and free and amazing, right? And we have these beautiful human emotions that we get to deal with too. And that's the challenging part, is to, I don't really want to say challenging, but it is at a human level. It's very challenging, right? So we can't negate that. We cannot negate that because, a lot of times in spirituality these days, you see a lot of people wanting to go to the high end, the fluff, and all of that. And it's beautiful there. It really, truly is beautiful. However, we are having this a human experience. We are having it. And it's there, and those emotions are there, and those trials are there, and those frustrations are there. And we cry and we get mad and we're frustrated and all of the things, right? And that's okay. Give yourself grace through those times when you're feeling those emotions, because we all do. I've heard this message so many times in the past in so many different ways. And it never hit me as deeply as when I was having a frustrating moment at work yesterday. I mean, I'm mid frustration, y'all, thinking, shit, this just isn't working. My app scanner on my phone wasn't working, and it just felt like a day that wouldn't end. Like it was the weirdest day as far as time went yesterday, because I felt like it was like time seemed magnified by 100. Everything that felt like 10 minutes seemed like 10 hours to me yesterday. It was insane. So I was just like, man, I just want to fucking get through this day. I want to do my job. I want to move on. I want to get off at 4 o'clock, which seemed like it was a week down the road. It was insane. And then my app scanner stops working. And so I'm having this frustrating moment, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to restart the app and see if that will help. And as I'm doing that, I get this message, and it was the most beautiful message. And I want to make sure I get it right, because I wrote it down this morning so I wouldn't forget it. So let me go there and get it so I can make sure I have it right. It said, it looks like it's not working, but that's not the truth. And I was like, holy shit. Because in that moment, it wasn't about the app, right? I knew when I restarted the app, it would work because it always does. When I restart it, it always works, right? So it's just this momentary frustration that slowed me down in what seemed like a snail's pace day. And I got to thinking about the things in my life and how it looks in the 3D, how it looks like there's so many things that need to happen, how it looks like it's not working on some levels, right? And looking at the deeper picture of what I feel and what I know to be the truth of my life, that those things are already in place and they're working amazingly well. And I know that's a stretch. I know it is, because when you're looking something in the face in what seems like our physical reality, and then you're asked to look at this deep level of something that isn't here yet, right? It's like, that's just crazy, right? It's such a big stretch. However, it really, truly is where the truth lies. It is. That's the deepest truth right there, is that those things are already in place. And it's such a stretch for our human mind sometimes to embrace these concepts and these ideas. I would like for you to just play with this a little bit because, like I said, I know how cuckoo Cocoa Puffs it sounds when you're first being introduced to it, and sometimes when you're not first being introduced to it. It's something that I've talked with my friend Jessica about multiple times. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you even talk about it to other people and not sound like you're crazy? Because they're looking at your life going, that's not what it is right now for you, like, how do you do that? How do you marry those two things together, the real truth of what it is and then what it looks like on the exterior? But the fact of the matter is that when we embrace the deepest truth of what's not seen, that's what allows those things to come in. And y'all stay tuned for the next chapter. I swear to you, I'm so excited about it because I feel it at such a deep level. So I'm going to be really, really not going to be, I am really, really excited to share that with you as it unfolds so that, it can, you can hopefully see it happening in real time, because I feel like it's really such an important message. And I saw a post on social media this morning that was talking about, and I got to be quick about this because I actually have to still go to work and I want to get this posted before I go. But it was talking about how a lot of spiritual coaches are skipping this human factor, right? They're talking about this beautiful way that things are, and they're totally and completely leaving this realness out of the picture so that you think this is all there is. And it's not. It is there. It is there. Absolutely. Absolutely, it's there. However, there's still this very human factor of the emotion and the work that we get to do to allow ourselves to see this over here, to experience this over here. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful journey. One of the most powerful things that I see visions a lot, right? I get visions a lot. Not everybody does, but I do. And I feel very blessed. And I'm super grateful that that's the case with me because it helps me to bring information forward in a way that is, I feel, more easily understandable. At least that's my wish and my intention is that it's more easily understandable. But one of the visions that I had when I was going through a really hard time was seeing this, and I'm sure you've seen these photos, like these, I think they're called macro photos of flowers, where it's like a super close up of the flowers. And then it's not the whole flower, it's just almost like a piece of the flower, like in the inside of the flower where the little, I think they're called pistils are, and all of that, where all the little pollen congregates. I'm sure you've seen those pictures. And that's how we humans focus on a problem sometimes. We zoom in on it so that it takes up the whole screen, and that's all we see is that problem. And we don't see any way to get out of it because we're so focused on it that that is literally all we're able to see. just like the picture of the flower. It takes up the whole, you know, screen, right? And then it's like everything's zoomed out. Everything's zoomed out. And I was able to see all of these beautiful things that were still happening. So if you zoom out from that one flower in that super close up, then you get to see the whole field of flowers. And you realize that that one flower isn't the only thing. There's all these other beautiful things around, all these beautiful things happening, little bees buzzing, birds flying by, all of the things, right? And that was one of the most beautiful moments. And what I interpreted that as is my higher self being able to zoom out from the issue that was so feels so heavy and feels so emotional to me and see all of the beautiful things that are still happening. And that is just, I feel like that's the ask. It's the ask for us to be able to zoom out and see all of the beautiful things that are still happening, even though this one thing in this moment feels like it's so big and it's taking up the whole thing. So anyway, that is what I have for you today. I would love for you to share in the comments any thoughts you have about it, any experiences you have. I know this is a really super deep topic, and maybe one of these days I'll do a deeper dive into it and provide more information and maybe talk to somebody on the podcast about it or something. But right now, this is all the time I have. I know it's a deep topic for this Monday. I hope y'all have a beautiful week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I love you all, and I will see you soon.